Open your ears and lube up your butthole. It's time for the What Do We Call It podcast. Now, here's your host. It's Jmann. Welcome to the What Do We Call It podcast. I'm Jmann, and it's not just weird to play with dolls anymore. It's disturbing now. What am I referring to? Well, I'm referring to the MyGender dolls.
Hi.
From the University of Minnesota's Early Innovation Fund, the school's education department have developed paper dolls with interchangeable genitalias to educate children ages as young as 4 to 10 about different gender identities. And this is a story that's been going for a few weeks. And I gotta say, I'm just finally now getting a chance to bitch about it because I wanted to see how much more would come out about it in the 2 weeks after it first came out. And not much has, other than initial outcry and people blaming Tim Walz and the Minnesota Department of Education. Primarily that's coming from the office of President Donald Trump, who says they're going to look at it federally. And whether you agree with this or not, and I don't, but we'll get there in a minute. When I was a kid in school, the subjects I learned were reading and English, math, science, social studies, music, art, and phy-ed. And under none of those umbrellas of education or areas of learning did we ever talk about sexual orientation or gender identity. Never. Not fucking once. And it's not because I went to Catholic school, K through 12. We had health class. They did talk about gay people and AIDS and how it was more prominent in that community and with needle sharers. But obviously, in a Catholic school, you're not going to talk a lot about it. But all my friends, for the most part, that weren't at those schools, went to public school. Wayzata, Coon Rapids, Blaine, Anoka, around this area. I got to tell you, they also reported to me when I asked them, they never heard one fucking peep about any of that shit, and we all collectively graduated between 1998 and 2007. So none of us heard about any of that shit.
You don't say.
So here's my problem. Our students are behind the curve because of COVID, because of lockdown, because of learning from home. Just a lot of kids slipped through the cracks. They didn't meet the benchmarks, but they just kept passing them, thanks to No Child Left Behind type programs. They didn't want anybody to feel bad, and there would have been a lot of fucking kids held back.
That is correct.
Don't get me started on that shit, because holding back dumb kids and making sure they know the material is how you ensure that they're going to get on in life without, graduating and barely reading at a fucking 5th grade level. And then they can't get a job, so they turn to drugs or crime, or they just have low-paying jobs, and then they spend their time drinking and drugging just to fucking numb the pain from sucking at life and having to go without, and then they end up in the system, both mental health-wise and probation and court-wise, going to jail and prison and shit. So let me tell you, there's benchmarks that these kids need to meet, and they're already not meeting them. And we have too many schools that are focusing on progressive ideas, talking about orientation and gender identity. It falls under the umbrella of what people call gender identity politics. And a great many people don't think it belongs in schools. But unfortunately, who wants to be teachers most often? Liberal white women or liberal women in general. And what are they going to do? They're going to be progressive. They're going to be woke. They're going to be like, oh yeah, you don't think that you were born in the right body? Yeah, you don't think you're a girl? Well, let's just chop your hair. And let's talk about maybe you need to see a doctor about gender dysphoria. And maybe you get some meds and take some hormones and then maybe chop your tits off. I don't know. We'll see where it goes. Or to the boys, oh, you put on a dress just to see how it felt? Yeah, you probably should chop your dick off and start calling yourself Jennifer or Rachel or some other fucking girl name. Do that.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Never in a million years would I have thought that this is what the state of the American education system would become. And, honestly, as much as people hate Donald Trump, and I'm not a big fan of him either, he's got a point with trying to shut down the Department of Education because he fears that they're not really teaching the right things. I long for the days like 10 years ago when my kids their biggest complaint was me not being able to help them with homework because of fucking Common Core math and me trying to do vertical math equations and them going, why aren't you making a table? Why aren't you making a chart? Why isn't this becoming a fucking art project that's 3 pages worth of scratch paper? Because these are multiplication tables and only a fucking retard would try to turn it into such an extensive endeavor. So I have 4 kids. They are going to be in 10th grade, 8th grade, 4th grade, and 2nd grade. I don't want them learning about this shit. I don't want them learning about different gender identities. If they have questions, they can ask me at home. I will gladly talk about it with them. I'm not going to be like, you're a girl, you were born a girl, you're always going to be a girl. I mean, it's true, no matter what you do. You can mutilate your body and take all the fucking woke-tard chewable vitamins you want. It's not going to change who you are. So you can watch every single video by Lily Tino and other transgender online media personalities that are just constantly talking about how when they're misgendered, it's a knife in the heart. Or that one guy, I think his name was Jeffrey something, who wore eye glitter and dresses and told kids, if your family doesn't accept you and you want to be different, then just go no contact. You don't need that family. You can be a part of my family. I love you. And the guy just seemed crazy and like he was probably stockpiling lost children in his basement that he would mouth fuck and then bury their corpses somewheres underneath a small section of excised concrete where he would tamp them down and pour some lime on top with some water to eliminate the biological material. But, enough of my CSI theories about that fucktard. Educators have a responsibility to look after the children. These kids spend more time with their teachers than they do with their parents most of the time growing up. And it's interesting to me that they would feel so comfortable taking on something that seems like it's primarily a parent's responsibility to discuss with a child. Because there's so many different schools that will let a child go by a desired name rather than their legal name. I've had to fucking piss and moan at a few counselors where they use my kid's nickname for herself, my oldest, rather than a pronoun at all because they're not sure if it's a she or a they, them. And I just say she. You can say she. Don't say what you're saying, that nickname she gave herself. That's not her name. You can use the full name or the shortened version, but not the micro version that she calls herself by. Or this weird fucking nickname she gave herself, Mars. Because I got to tell you, there were like 2 lesbians in my high school of 800 kids. And I think there were 2 gay dudes. And one of them moved away. To Seattle, no less. Where he was excited to, quote, finally get to go to the gay bars. And Patrick, I hope you got to chug all the cock that your heart desires.
Oh, bitch.
But frankly, we didn't have any trans kids. Now, interestingly, one of those lesbian chicks decided to go trans about 15, 20 years ago. I've been out of high school for 25 years. Jesus Christ. Yeah, and is a guy now. But anyways, there wasn't this constant queer identity politics shit going on where they wear it on their sleeve for all to see, and it is the bulk of their personality. My oldest, her group of friends is all primarily alphabet people and queer kids and girls that use boy names now, and it's fucking very odd to me that there'd be this many. And don't tell me there's not social contagion, because that's totally what's going on. In a few years, a bunch of these kids are going to be like, well, it was just a phase. You know what was a phase for me? Wearing brightly colored athletic shirts and listening to Korn. Because that's how Jonathan Davis and Head and Monkey dressed. And I wanted to be cool like them. You know what was a phase? My red backwards baseball cap because of Fred Durst from Limp Bizkit. You know what else was a phase? Me wearing a dog collar chain around my neck because I was a fan of DMX. You know what else was a phase? Me watching Samurai Jack because I thought I liked anime. You know what else was a phase? Me holding my breath before I go. Oh, actually, I still hold my breath before I come. I guess that's not a phase. Either way, I'm not saying I want to be choked, but I get it. So back to the kids. These programs that are sponsored by the State Board of Education and the University of Wokesoda, or as I like to call this state now, the land of libtardia, I don't appreciate that this is being just, here you go, we're going to do this. Maybe you should put it to a vote and see what most parents think. Maybe the school boards need to hold meetings about this so the parents can voice their concern or support, and let's see where it goes. But at no point should this be mandatory learning. I don't even think it should be shown to kids. I think a parent should have to seek it out from the school and be actively involved in it. Because like I said, kids can use pronouns and go by a different gender identity, and the schools will keep it secret. They don't want the kids to be judged by their parents, and that's fucking groomer behavior. Call it what you want, but keeping secrets and not having kids tell things to their parents sounds like something a child molester would say. And furthermore, as it relates, if it's not bad enough the schools are doing it, my kid goes to the doctor through Alina, and Alina has a policy that at 13, kids can limit what their parents know and see about their medical records. And they can go in there and talk to a doctor by making their own appointment. And maybe they want to talk about gender dysphoria. Maybe they want to talk about seeking hormones. Maybe they want to talk about transitioning. Maybe they want to talk about birth control. Maybe they need Plan B. Maybe they want to talk about how they're curious about sex. And these are all things that used to fall on parents. Why aren't we being given the chance to raise our own kids while these paraprofessionals and medical doctors that think they know best, and they don't always, or else there wouldn't be the concept of medical malpractice or schools getting sued for teachers trying to fuck kids or be creepy.
Gross.
Why aren't the parents being allowed to choose? And part of that choice is not to fund it with taxpayer dollars, because I didn't sign up for that shit either. That's fucking ridiculous to me. Can we fix the fucking roads? Can we put in more flashing yellow left turn lane signals, please? Can we do something with the money like, I don't know, creating an office that goes around talking to the homeless people, educating them about needle sharing, and then getting more dirty needles off the fucking sidewalks and playgrounds and streets and parks? I get the whole wanting to educate children about other lifestyles. It used to be, some families have 2 dads or 2 moms or just a dad or just a mom or this or that. Or some people have a mom who's a whore and is polyamorous and fucks multiple dudes, so they have more than one stepdad. It's not something I would like to think about, but hey, if you got to have 2 dads, it better be like my 2 dads, but with Eiffel Towering involved, right?
Giggity.
If you want to put any sort of educational tool in the hands of the kids, why don't we start with the most important thing? Educating them about other cultures. So you want them to assimilate, obviously, but you also want to celebrate the culture where they came from so that the kids that are born here, first and second generation from immigrant parents, they want to feel included and you want to be inclusive. So if you want to put fucking babushka clothes or little Heidi, the Swedish girl from the stories thing clothes, I don't know, various cultures, from African countries and European countries and Russia and Asian countries and Latin American countries, all of them. Let's learn about the cultures. So the more we know, the closer we feel. Because kids can process that. They can look at that and they're like, oh, I like this, I can wear this. And maybe it's bordering on cultural appropriation, but at least builds their interest in it without trying to change their entire fucking self. Gender identity dolls is going way too far down the rabbit hole, letting kids think that they get to choose who they are forever. You're a child, you can't vote, you can't drink, you can't serve, you can't buy lottery tickets, you can't drive, you can't smoke, you can't do a number of fucking things. But apparently you can choose your gender. With your underdeveloped preteen mind, you got to start them young, right? So that they know that they can get the hormones before they hit puberty, because kids are hitting puberty younger and younger. So we got to give them the paper dolls with the peepees and the ginies that switch around and swap. We got to get in their fucking heads, right? Instead of just letting them be kids, we got to throw these adult concepts like you're poisoning them. I don't understand what it is. Why do you have to show it to them? Why is it imperative to their personal development, but more importantly, their education, because this is going to be in schools, that they know about different gender identities and then get to play around with them like it's a fucking paper doll version of Mr. Potato Head's bucket of parts? Seems less about inclusion and more like a fucking recruiting drive. Teach about socioeconomic status, fine. Wait till high school for that. Teach about different cultures in elementary and middle school. Teach about art and music more in middle school to build the interest in the arts. But don't fucking bring this shit to anybody who isn't at least 18. Because if you're going to do it and then you're going to keep it secret, or you're going to have it in schools that the taxpayers fund and the parents don't get a say, and it's just going to be around, and your kid's the weird kid if they don't get to do it. So all the inclusive fucking woke-tard parents are like, oh, they're conservative. They don't let their kid play with the fucking exchangeable penis dolls. They're fucking hate mongers. Just keep it above board and keep it about the main tenets of education. Math, science, reading, English, because it's our primary fucking language in this country. It's the official language of the United States. Learn that shit, motherfuckers. And then whatever they call social studies now, I don't know if they call it civics or whatever, but social studies. It's history, it's geography, it's a little bit of anthropology, that shit. And maybe you throw in some psychology and some sociology so they know why their moms are leaving their dads in droves and that daddy's crying all the time and mommy's got a bunch of new male friends that come over and then they do, quote, gymnastics behind closed doors. No paper dolls with exchangeable gender parts. None of that fucking shit. Kids that young don't need to be learning about that part of their body so much until like 11 or 12 when they're entering puberty and you have health class or sex ed. For fuck's sakes. But then again, maybe teaching about health isn't the answer. Because, my middle daughter, she once asked me this. She's like, you can't get pregnant from doing it in the butt? And I was like, are you fucking serious right now? No, you cannot get pregnant from doing it in the butt. And then she also asked me 2 weeks after that about chicks that swallow getting pregnant. I'm like, that's not a thing, and I can't believe you would think that is possible, for Christ's sakes. Like, what the fuck are they teaching you in school? God damn it. Interact with the show on Twitter at What Do We Call It? That is at What Do We Call It? You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/group/What Do We Call It Podcast Show. For the What Do We Call It Podcast, I'm Jmann. And that's the end.